Well, I have to say this is probably my favourite campsite in the Lake District. It's deep in the Langdale Valleys. It's a National Trust campsite. The facilities are fantastic, and we're actually surrounded by the most wonderful mountain scenery. And this will be typical of the type of campsite that we stay on a photography base camp trip. But importantly, as you've just seen there, is you will be able to stay in a wonderful teepee that's actually big enough to sleep 7 in, which will be your very own. So this week we're on a one-to-one trip with somebody that's booked 2 days tuition in the Lake District, all inclusive. So that includes all the accommodation, food and drink is provided in the cost of the trip and their personal tuition. So I want to take the chance really just to show you the style of accommodation that you can expect. Just a little bit about the teepees. They're made by a company called Tipi. They're probably the best teepee manufacturer in the world. These teepees are made to last. They will withstand all weather conditions. Their octagonal shape means that if you do get high winds, they're extremely stable, and it's a very weighty teepee. So the weight on one of these teepees is 13 kilograms. They're fully waterproof, and they are 4.5 meters in diameter, so they offer a very spacious experience for our guests. And let's go and take a look inside at typically what furniture you will find. So the start of the show in one of these teepees is actually the presence of a wood burning stove. So these are actually called hot tents because they are designed to be used with a 10 teepee wood burning stove. You can see the stove there, and this means that in all weather conditions you will remain extremely warm and cosy. You can see the chimney goes all the way to the top of the teepee. Good ventilation at the top as well, ventilation at the bottom of the tent as well, so air is drawn in through the bottom of the teepee and then drawn out through the roof. And really this is what makes the photography base camp experience so unique, because being able to spend time in one of these teepees is really a unique experience. So this is typical of the teepee furnishings that you will find. So we've talked about the wood burning stove. There's also extra thick mattresses by a company called Vango. They're called Shangri-La mattresses. They're as thick as really, it's like a home mattress in effect. They're 10 centimeters thick. It is like sleeping on your own bed at home really. You've got a home style pillow. You have a rab down sleeping bag, which will be rated for the particular temperature at the time. So we have high quality sleeping bags provided for you, a suitable chair in the teepee, lighting provided, and also for the communal use there will be plenty of cool boxes to keep all of our food and drink fresh for the 2 or 3 days that you're on the base camp trip. So one thing I just wanted to say about these tents is the tent I've just shown you, the 10 Tipi 7, is your very own teepee. We also have a community teepee, so it's even bigger, and it will seat 4 people around the wood burning stove. So on an evening we can cook together. Obviously photography base camp trips are all inclusive, so you get all your food, all your drinks provided within the price, and we can gather together around the hot stove in the community tent after a day's photography. So I thought what I'd do next is just take a little bit of a time out and basically take you through some of the questions that people have asked me as they've approached photography base camp about their trips. So the first question from a guy called David, David was in Chester, was what does all-inclusive mean when it comes to a photography base camp trip? Well, basically the initial idea for photography base camp was to provide photography workshops at a much more affordable price for customers, but actually to still provide a high level of quality. So the beauty of the all-inclusive approach is that absolutely everything is provided in terms of all your food, your accommodation, your drink. That includes soft drinks and alcoholic drinks. The only cost you bear yourself essentially is the cost of getting to the location and also driving yourself around the location. That's the only cost that you actually face. So, you know, typically our 2-night trips would be in the region of just short of £400 for a 2-night, 3-day photography trip, which we think on an all-inclusive basis offers excellent value. And also there will never be more than 3 photographers per guide. So I run a lot of trips myself, and we'll have 3 people. I sometimes partner other photographers and would have a maximum of 6 people with 2 photographers. So that's the concept behind Photography Basecamp. It's to provide a fantastic workshop experience at a much more affordable but comfortable price. The second question was it's probably the most common question we get actually from customers, which is what do I need to bring? The answer is not a great deal. So let me be clear on exactly what that statement means. Clearly you need to bring your own photography equipment, clearly need to bring your own clothing, toiletries, you know, suitable for the environment we're in, and we're in an outdoor Lake District landscape today. This will be very typical of what you will find. So you need good walking boots or sturdy boots to be able to walk in the hills of the Lake District and to get to the locations that we want to do photography in. So suitable clothing, waterproof clothing, because as you know, typically it may rain in places where you want to do landscape photography, so you need the right clothing. You need to bring your own toiletries, but literally that is it. You don't need to bring any food, any drink. You just need to come along, and we provide everything from, you know, sleeping bags, pillows, blankets, spare blankets, that is, all your food, all your drink. You know, you need your own personal transportation, but that is it really. So it really is as simple as that. We take all the hassle out of the process of getting to the location with all this gear, setting it up, taking it down. You don't have to worry about any of that. You just come along and basically enjoy the guiding experience and enjoy the photography experience that we provide. Obviously I get questions about myself. If you go onto the website you can read my journey in photography. Really it's only in the last 5 to 10 years I've really got serious about my photography, and I started to pursue this as my sort of vocation in life 2 years ago in effect. You can see my portfolio on the website, and you know, hopefully you will really understand my love of the Lake District, both as a walker and a photographer. I've walked all the Wainwrights. I really love the outdoors, and I've got really good knowledge of the Yorkshire Dales and the Lake District, and really in the UK they are 2 of the best places in the UK to do photography. So there's a question from Trevor in Newcastle actually about the format of the day, a typical day on a Photography Basecamp trip. If you go on the website you can actually see in more detail what a typical day might be, but the reason why I call it a typical day is that there's no 2 days exactly the same. We do play the weather basically, so assuming conditions are good, a typical day is we would be up for sunrise. It will be a very early start, and you know, if that's in the summer months it might be up at 5 in the morning, and we actually get a good chunk of photography done before breakfast, and then we'll come back at 8 or 9 o'clock, and if the weather's okay we might have a bacon roll or a sausage bun, or we might have some cereal. We'll enjoy a nice brunch back at the teepees before then planning the rest of the day, and usually what might happen is we'll go out, we might recce a couple of areas. If the light's not so good we might recce potential areas for the evening, because then the real opportunities then around obviously the end of the day and sunset, and that's what we concentrate on trying to do. Sometimes we will have our hot dinner, if I can call it dinner, at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because the idea is to be out in the field for sunset. So we'll have our meal earlier, and we might just have some snacks later on when we get back to the teepees. But that will be a typical day. If the weather's great and promising, it's quite a tiring trip, because you have the option of literally doing sunrise and sunset, you know, on the days that you're on the trip. If that's too much for people, they can opt not to obviously do that, but we'd like to make the most of the conditions. And you know, if the conditions are really bad, then obviously we'll try and tailor the trip to make the most of those conditions. So that will be a typical day. I got a question from Peter in South Wales actually about campsites. He said, what kind of campsites do you use? And what I said to him was that you know, typically we use only the highest quality campsites. So the one I'm on today, I'm doing a 1-to-1 in the Lake District, a two-night 1-to-1 in the Lake District. We're staying at the National Trust campsite in the Langdale Valley. We've got a favourite site in Keswick, which is not a National Trust campsite, it's a private campsite, but it's a very, very high quality, award-winning campsite. They are the more expensive end. Typically they will have heated shower blocks and heated toilet blocks, you know, all the facilities, shop. They'll have really everything you need on a high quality campsite. So I've got a question from a guy called David actually in Birmingham about the food, what to expect with the food. Well, I do all the cooking on these trips. I like cooking actually, and you know, we provide hot food at an evening. That might be a barbecue if the weather allows, or it might be a chili or a curry if actually it's not as suitable to be barbecuing. So we provide a hot meal in the evening. We provide plenty of snacks throughout both the evening and the day. You'll be provided with some sort of sandwich lunch, and then for breakfast it'll either be cereals or occasionally hot breakfast, depending on how the day's photography is being planned, and that will be very much dependent on the weather and how we're choosing to go about it. So you don't need to bring any food, as I said already. It's all provided for you.
So many things I didn't show. Nothing is ever written in stone. Darling, oh, I am coming home. There's so many things you ought to know. I'll dry your tears and heal your sorrow. I saw you dancing with the shadows. Darling, oh, I am coming home. I'm coming home. Now I'm going back to the place where I belong. Got it all wrong, but for this song, your heart will never be alone. For darling, I am coming home. I'm coming home. Now so many years since I've been gone. I haven't changed, but